Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having an amazing day and welcome back to the channel. So this is the new DJI Osmo 360, a camera that for strange reasons is not for sale in the US yet, and I actually had to get this on another country just to be able to test it out and make this video, which by the way is not sponsored, and there is going to be no hype, so you know what you're going to get with this product. If you are new to this kind of cameras, you need to know that with this you are going to be able to record everything around the camera because there is one lens on each side, and this means that you don't really have to point the camera in the right direction. After you finish recording, you can use the DJI Mimo app on your phone or the DJI Studio on your computer to select the angle or position that you want. With a single video clip, you can reframe it as many times as you want. So, for example, you can choose to frame yourself, or you can turn the view around so now it's looking forward, or point in any direction that you want. But the beautiful part is that you can also create movements from one point to another to make it look like the camera is moving around. We can't deny that Insta360 made these kind of cameras very popular, so to compete with the Insta360 X5, the Osmo 360 has a bigger sensor that will capture more light into the camera, and this is a new sensor that has a square shape with bigger pixels to make it more efficient. This camera can record in 8K, and this can be done up to 50 frames per second, which can be used for a slow motion. This is a big improvement over a camera like the X5, which can only record up to 30 frames per second, and to use 60 frames per second, you need to lower the resolution to 5.7K. Some people think that this is plenty enough, but it's actually not the case, and this is because the resolution that you set is for the entire video shot at 360 degrees, which looks more like a round video like this. And when you select a position or frame that you want to use, the rest of the video is not going to be used, and that means that your final video clip is not going to have the high resolution that you chose to record. The video quality that you can get with the Osmo 360 is very good. The size of the sensor is an important factor, but this is a camera that can record using 10-bit color. This is going to be active even if you're using the normal color profile, which is what most people are going to be using anyway. And for more advanced users, you can record using the log-M, so you can color grade your videos in post. I actually like the colors that we get straight out of the camera, but I know that for some users, the colors might look like they need a little bit more of saturation. But fortunately, this is something that can be applied really quickly inside the app when you're doing the reframing process. DJI claims that the Osmo 360 has 13.5 stops of dynamic range, and in my opinion, it's doing a good job, and we don't have the problem that we had on the DJI Action 5, where the clouds had very low texture and details. So for the most part, I was very pleased with the videos that I was getting, but in extreme situations, like in this example where I am standing in the shade and the background is super bright, you are going to notice that the background section has a very strong HDR effect, and I know that a lot of people don't like to see this because the colors look somehow artificial, right? And I have to agree with that, but in my opinion, I feel that having this look is way better than having the background blown out like in this other video, which was recorded with the Insta360 X5 at 8K. Using that resolution, it doesn't support HDR unless I drop it down to 5.7K to be able to use it. But this means that the final video is going to have a much lower video quality. And like I've said many times in the past, using the highest resolution with these kind of cameras is very important. Now, of course, this is not going to be perfect all the time with the Osmo 360, and sometimes you are going to get a section in your video that is overexposed. As I said a few minutes ago, I like the video quality that we are getting if we record using 8K at 24 or 30 frames per second, but it caught my attention that at 50 frames per second, there is a slight decrease in the video quality. Chances are that nobody is gonna notice on social media, but if we compare these videos shot at 30 and 50 frames per second, you should be able to see that we are getting less details and texture on different sections of the frame. There is also a slight difference in the color saturation. It looks like it's a bit more intense at 50 frames per second, and like I said, not everyone is going to be aware of this, and I don't see this as a big deal since this is easy to fix inside the app. With this camera, you also have the option to record using a single lens, which is going to give you an MP4 video that you can share or upload right away without any editing. It can record with a maximum resolution of 5K at 60 frames per second, but this doesn't have a way to balance the horizon. So chances are that your video is going to look like this, but this camera has this boost video mode, which is also using a single lens, but this has a wide field of view that actually supports horizon balance up to 60 frames per second. The one problem with this wide-angle view is the distortion that we get. And this is something that you can also see in normal 360 videos. Normally, the app would be the place to fix this, but for now, it is not possible until DJI makes the proper update. The Osmo 360 can be used in low light situations using a mode that they call Super Night Video. It is very likely that you're not going to see a huge difference between this and the normal video mode. And I get the feeling that this is because the larger sensor and pixels are already doing a great job capturing a good amount of light. Unless it's really dark like in this parking lot, but this is not the kind of video clip that I would like to use for myself. So after testing this a bit more, I found that if we take a closer look, you should be able to see that this Super Night Video mode is helping to minimize the amount of noise. And at the same time, we can now see more details. This video here is a good example, where the statue and the rocks below look better compared to the video that is not using the Super Night mode. Something that you need to know is that this mode only supports a maximum of 30 frames per second. You cannot use the battery saver mode, and you cannot record using the Log M. And if you're someone who likes to use the single lens video mode, this Super Night feature is not an option that you can use. The Osmo 360 has an electronic stabilization system that is going to make your video super stable. All I can say is that this is going to work in any situation, and this camera also has a horizon locking system that will keep the horizon straight. When it comes to the batteries, I really like the fact that DJI made it possible to use the ones from the Action 5. I suspect that we can use those from the Action 4 as well. And this is a very smart strategy in favor of consumers like us, since it's easier than ever to share a set of batteries between different devices. So I did test the battery life, and using 8K at 24 frames per second, the Osmo 360 was able to record for 1 hour and 50 minutes. And using the same resolution with the battery saver mode, it was able to record for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So 25 extra minutes. But be mindful that this only works using 30 frames per second or lower, and it doesn't work with some video modes like Super Night Video or the single lens mode. The recording times are really nice, but I highly recommend that you get more batteries for this camera. It seems to me that the standby mode and using the screen with a higher brightness consumes a lot of power. The other day I went out to shoot some content and I shot over 100 video clips. The total time was somewhere around 1 hour and 10 minutes, and for that amount of time, one battery should be plenty enough, right? Well, not for me, because I had to use 2 full batteries for that. And that's a little bit insane considering that I don't even review my videos on the camera, and I did use the wireless microphone, but that was just for a few videos. So nothing crazy, to be honest. Anyway, you can also use a power bank and record at the same time, which is what I had to do that night. But I am planning to get this battery extension rod, which is something like this one, but instead of having this cable, it will charge the Osmo 360 over these connectors at the bottom of the camera. It can be used as an extension, and it has a few buttons to control the Osmo 360. The price is around $100, but you get to record for about 4 hours and a half. So I think that this should be a good accessory, and hopefully it's not too heavy. I also did test the Osmo 360 to find out if it overheats, and like I always do, this test was done without any camera movement, no air conditioning, and no airflow. Using a high bitrate and a resolution of 8K at 24 frames per second, this device did not overheat. But using the same settings at 50 frames per second, the Osmo 360 shut down at 48 minutes. It still had some battery power, so it was not a battery issue. Moving on, this is a video clip where you can hear how the internal microphone on the Osmo 360 sounds like. Always do we get the right conditions to record, right? So even though these cameras are supposed to be used in daylight with plenty of sunlight, sometimes you're gonna get this kind of... This camera can also be used with external microphones, and I think that it makes sense to take advantage of the ecosystem that DJI has. And here is an example of how it sounds like with the DJI Mic Mini. This one was just testing the hand gesture. They're working really well, but I noticed that they do not have a lot of range. That's the only thing. Let me put this. I kind of like this view. The advantage here is that you can use a direct connection between this camera and the DJI Mic Mini or the DJI Mic 2. So you don't need to plug the receiver, and this means that you can just buy the transmitter and save a lot of money. Saving money is always a good thing, but the real advantage is that these mics use DJI's Osmo audio technology instead of Bluetooth. You can connect up to 2 microphones, and they don't have to be exactly the same. In other words, you can use one DJI Mic Mini and one DJI Mic 2, or whatever they release in the future. Now, you should not take that as a leak, because I don't know anything about new microphones coming from DJI. So one of the most important parts of a 360 camera is the app that you can use to edit the videos that you record. On your phone, you can use the DJI Mimo app, and for the most part, I do like the simple approach that it has. It's not complicated to find and apply the different options. Keyframes are automatically updated when I change the position or the field of view. And when I want to export my video, it feels like a straightforward task without being too complicated. Although I have to say that I don't like that this menu is not very visible when I have a bright background, and it can get a bit annoying. Now, I actually spend more time on my computer with the DJI Studio. It is very similar to the one from Insta360, but some features like text and transition effects are not present. And if you have a PC running Windows, the DJI Studio doesn't have the option to use the tracking feature. I asked DJI about this, and they said that this is going to be there on a future update. So I am really looking forward for these kind of improvements really soon. I also had another problem with this program, the DJI Studio. It crashed about 14 times editing around 200 videos. The good thing is that everything was saved by the program, so the workflow that I was working on was not lost, but I really hope that this gets some attention so nobody else has to deal with this problem. So there has been a lot of talk about the fact that this camera does not have replaceable lenses. When I think about this, it's like, we never had something like this until a few months ago with the Insta360 X5. I do believe that accidents can happen, and with this kind of cameras where the lenses are sticking out, it's easy for something to happen. So I'm not going to deny that having the option to buy the lens and change it by myself in a few minutes instead of having to pay for shipping and wait for the camera to come back, it's a nice quality of life improvement. But at the same time, and I'm being completely honest here, I don't feel that this should be the most important topic if you're trying to decide if this is the right camera for you or not. I believe that this is a camera that has a lot of good features that we can't ignore. It has a bigger sensor, 10-bit color, the video quality is very good, it comes with an internal memory that will let you record for almost 1 hour and a half, and of course, You can also use a micro SD card. The quick release system that it has is the same that they've been using on DJI's action cameras. So it's really nice to use accessories like this mount that I bought for the Action 2 many years ago. And then we have the shape of the camera. This allows the screen to be on a horizontal position, so it's great for single lens mode, and for 360 videos, this can help to get a better idea of how your composition is going to look like. Not that it matters too much, but it helps. Anyway, the links to these products are going to be down below, and using any of them will support this channel. So follow this channel or not, it's really up to you. But don't forget to say hello. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.